Hey guys, it's me, Halloween Dan, and that's right, I'm not sat down in my normal little Halloweeny corner.
That's suspicious.
Because today I'm doing a very different video. I am talking about my haunt, I am talking about phase 2 of my haunt, and I wanted to just update you as to where I'm up to and talk about some of the things I've been up to. Become a little bit more complicated, and there's a little bit more to the story, and there's something happening today that's quite exciting. So let's get into this. So it is currently Wednesday the 22nd of October. Phase 2 of my haunt has really taken off. We are going full force with phase 2. But the interesting thing about my phase 2 builds is that usually this is a very basic element to my display. It's just really putting out the hard foundations of my display, like my castle, my witch's house, etc, etc. And I usually leave a lot of the smaller details and some of my home builds, and particularly my large animatronics, till later on in the week. Usually it's the final Sunday before Halloween, so that would be the Sunday that's coming up. That would be my normal big build day with all my animatronics and everything else. But somewhat predictably, forces of nature have pushed the envelope in a slightly different direction. So let me just quickly explain that. I talk about the weather and my annoyance with the weather quite a lot. Living in the UK, it's just something that you have to deal with. October in the UK is often wet, it's often windy. You just have to deal with it. There's nothing you can do about it. And if you're lucky, you get a relatively dry period from the Sunday before all the way through to Halloween, and it isn't as terrible as it could otherwise be. Unfortunately, though, this year doesn't look to be one of those years.
What?
But what makes it even more annoying is that if you live in the UK, you will know that we, up until this week, have just had one of our driest Octobers on record. As if God or some other force has purposely meant it this way. The first couple of weeks of October were incredibly dry. I mean like dry, wall-to-wall sunshine, well, cloudy some of the time, but it was dry, it was not windy, not even a breath of wind, no mist, no fog, no nothing. It's been exceptional. It's actually quite warm at times. That would be absolutely perfect. And I've got to be somewhat thankful to that because it has allowed me to progress with phase 2 a lot quicker and a lot better than I've ever done before. Everything is up and it's all been sat there now for about a week, maybe about 10 days. It's been good. But then, as if some terrible twist of fate, that weather has not lasted and the breakdown began on Sunday just gone. And it looks as though it's going to only continue to be unsettled and wet and windy right the way up to Halloween now. Every day looks a little bit different, but I have to say there's a real mix going on. Next week's weather is still a little bit undecided and it's too far away to predict. The UK's weather is very changeable at the best of times. This week has definitely been dominated by bad weather, so all the things I would have liked to continue to do in phase 2 have had to stall somewhat, and I haven't been able to progress much as I would have liked. Which is why I talk about what I talk about now, because today is probably going to be the driest day we're going to have for the next few weeks. From now on, everything looks a little unsettled. Tomorrow, there's actually a storm coming through that probably will miss where I live, but it's still going to get windy and wet. It just isn't looking as good as it could look. So I've decided to do something that I've never really done at this stage before. And that is that I am going to put out some of my more weatherproof animatronics. It's something I usually leave till that final Sunday, and it was something I certainly wasn't planning on doing today. So I need to get these things out now, whilst I can, and we just need to get on with this. But before I do, I thought what we would do is I would just show you where I'm at right now with my phase 2 build, and just see what you think. And then we'll get into the building of these awesome animatronics. Okay, So here we are, it is the daytime. You can see where we're up to with phase 2 and what we've added and what we haven't. As I have said several times already, phase 1 and 2 are very entry level, very little has been added at this stage, certainly none of my big animatronics. It's just all my beta and omega animatronics. And the big news is the more solid structures that I've added in the build. Now, because it's the day, nothing is switched on. I will show you a nighttime view of some of this that I did the other night. So my inflatables are just kind of hanging from the windows. None of the lights are on, none of the smoke effects are on, nothing. It's all just, this is what it looks like during the day. And as you can see, everything is a little bit damp, everything's a bit wet. So it's nice that today's a bit sunny because it might give some of these things a chance to dry out. Starting on this side of the haunt, you can see that I have of course added my witch's house or my witch's porch. It basically looks exactly the same every single year. I've even used the same old tarpaulins, which I can just about figure out how they sit. And under here we have my little pumpkin guy, and I also have my dancing witch, neither of which are going to be staying here. They're just here to keep the kids entertained while there's literally nothing else in here. I've also built the extension.
What the hell is that?
It's been buffeted about by the wind a little bit, so the roof has gone a bit crooked, but then it is a witch's house, so it doesn't matter. I blanked it out like I said I was going to. Like I say, it needs some adjustment. It's been hit by the wind. That's where she's going to be, in that window, dancing away when people trigger her. I've added my little swamp area. You'll notice that we haven't got Jenny Greenteeth in here yet. She's going to be coming in the next day or so. It's just being slowly witchified. I've got my little cauldron inside of a cauldron. This cauldron is a very, very cool thing. It's an actual proper cast iron pot that came off an old-fashioned stove. My mother-in-law had it in her garden as a planter and I stole it.
You're a thief!
So all I need to do is I need to find a tripod or something for this to sit on, because this wooden one is not strong enough to hold its weight, but that'll be fun. The spiders haven't arrived yet. We haven't got our spiders out, but what we have got out is our graveyard. Now, usually by this point, I don't have a graveyard to speak of. My tombstones are not out, whether they be the cheap sort of store-bought ones I have or my homemade ones. I thought, why not? Let's get them out, let's get them used. Less for me to have to do in a bit of a rush. You can just about see my skull that pops out behind Noah Escape there. He's been working away for the last week or so. We also have my moving grave, which I added plenty of leaves and mosses and lichens to, and I think it looks pretty good. At night, it definitely has a cool effect when light is struck upon it at a certain angle. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way the graveyard looks, and this big gap in the middle is where my 10-foot Reaper is going to be. So don't worry, I'm aware there's a great big gap there. It will be filled, and this space is for my jumping spider. But it's around the corner that the biggest addition has joined the gang, and that is in the form of my now officially Frankenstein's castle. Now, like everything else, it's all gotten very wet, it's all gotten very damp. There's nothing else here, no scientific equipment, no table yet. It is very, very basic at the minute. All that we've really got going on is the lightning effect in the window. It is working. I do put my flame lights there on drier evenings, and it all looks pretty good. You can see where I'm up to. This is not going to have any animatronics in it Sunday, but because again the weather is going to be so wet, I think the only animatronic I'm actually going to be able to get out on Sunday is my Frankenstein's monster, which is weatherproof. Everything else, like my Dr. Illume, which I'm hoping to put in the doorway, and my sit-up John Doe, they're going to have to wait until it's a bit drier, which, I'm not going to lie, that could be any time. But if I have them built, it means that if there's a dry period, I can just literally put them out. I'm even toying with the idea of actually getting some clear plastic and putting it on the inside of that door so that Dr. Illume won't get wet if I choose to keep him out when it's wet, because the roof above is actually weatherproofed. I put some plastic sheet over it and stapled it all down, and so far it has kept relatively dry inside that doorway. So this is the haunt so far. This is phase 2. Like I've said, this is actually quite a lot more than what I would normally include in phase 2. Like I say, the graveyard certainly wouldn't be here like that. I probably wouldn't have added as many details to the witches area as I have done. It would all be very much stripped back. But I wanted to get it to this stage, and the dry weather we had for the first 2 weeks has allowed me to get it to this stage. It's only been in the last few days that everything has got pretty damp and pretty wet. I've been covering things over as best I can, but there comes a point where you have to kind of make a decision. How important is something like this bride that cost me about £12? How much time do I want to spend trying to keep that weatherproof when, in honesty, I'm not going to die crying if it was to no longer work? But today is a day I wasn't really anticipating, and that is to add some of my larger animatronics. I never honestly thought I would do this, but because today, and it seems to be true, seems to be the driest day we're going to have over the next few days, I thought I'd use this opportunity to actually put some of my larger animatronics into place. I'm not putting the witches out, and I'm not putting Frankenstein or any of the scientist type animatronics out. What we are going to focus on instead is my 10-foot Reaper. I'm going to put him out because he's weatherproof, though I am going to have to make sure he's properly anchored down because it is supposed to be quite windy. And I'm also going to put out my Headless Horseman. So that's what we're going to do, and hopefully you're going to join me. So after a morning of work and a little bit of an afternoon, we have made some changes. There have been some additions. We have, but there she is. That's Jenny Greenteeth. She's in the pond. She's looking terrifying. Yes, she doesn't have arms. I didn't have time to make arms. That's really something for next year, I think. But either way, she's there. She's looking pretty hideous, poking her head out of the pond. One thing that isn't working is Barry the butler. I don't know why, because he was working. He was working perfectly fine. That is my new jumping spider. The old one has had its spare parts replaced, but it's still glitchy. It's working, but in a glitchy kind of a way. It's like the gears are kind of jumping or something. I've not figured out exactly what it is. So I haven't put it out yet. I think I'll put that further around the corner anyway when the time finally comes. But I have put this one out because the kids absolutely love it. I'm not sure I'll have it on quite as often as I usually do, but there he is. My skeleton pop-up is working as well. He's popping up behind the grave there. One of the nice things about phase 2 is that before all these sort of bigger, louder things come out, it gives people an opportunity to actually notice some of these smaller moving elements. So that's kind of neat. Then of course, we've got my Reaper, looking pretty fantastic. He does look a lot better at night with his chest lit and his eyes lit. But you can see he's still working. He looks pretty incredible. Down here we've got my moving grave again. You can see it rippling and moving. It looks a lot better at night because the way I have it lit, you can sort of see the movement a little bit more. Then we've got the Headless Horseman. Still one of my absolute favourite animatronics. I think he looks incredible. He never ever fails to impress. He just looks so good here on this corner, and yeah, I really like the way he looks, and I'm so glad he still works. And then we've got my, what I call my beta animatronics in the form of my Asda Zombie and my Range Reaper. He's one of the only range animatronics that I got from last year that is still working. This Asda Zombie, well, he works sort of. He's supposed to move his arms constantly, but something's not quite right. He moves them a bit and then he kind of gives up. After a little while, you have to give him a little tap. But he is sort of working, and you know, that's enough. But in general, I think so far phase 2 is looking pretty impressive. This is far more impressive than any phase 2 I've ever done before. Usually it doesn't look anything like this, but we're heading in the right direction now. There's just a lot more animatronics to add. So here's a real quick nighttime view. Like I say, Witches Zone, not the best lit at the minute because there are no witches apart from my static ones. And we've also got Jenny Greenteeth looking pretty ominous there on this one. Everything else is lit. Unfortunately, my flame light on this side has stopped working particularly well, but what can you do? It's pretty old. The Reaper, it's looking as incredible as always. Yep, lit up chest, lit up eyes, looking incredible. The spider is working. Got some other smaller light up items. I've got the candles here. Some of my battery operated lights, I have some little puck lights up there and down here. They've stopped working at the minute. They need new batteries, but that's okay. We've got my moving grave. You can just about see it moving there. Yeah, it's definitely moving. My pop-up skull as well. Here he comes. Any time today would be great. Here he is. I'm gonna call him Edward. No, he's Noah, isn't he? Noah Escape. There he is, just popping up. Love that. Of course, we've got our Headless Horseman, who at night just looks incredible. I love the way this side of the house is lit. This side always looks the most impressive. And he looks great here. Really, really good. Basic animatronics. And the backdrop of the castle with the lightning effect in the window. It's looking pretty good right now. Unfortunately, like I say, nothing actually in the castle at the minute. The castle is the one zone, well, that and the witch's house, still waiting for its people to join the party, if you like. But there you go. That's phase 2. That's a wrap on phase 2. Next is the big one, phase 3, but like I've already said several times in this video, the weather is not supposed to be amazing this weekend, so we'll just have to see how far we can get with phase 3. It might have to not include every single one of my animatronics and just some of them, but the hope, the dream is alive. So for now, that's it, guys. We, of course, are heading in the direction of phase 3. That will be Sunday. There's a lot of other things we're doing in between. This Thursday, we're actually hoping, as long as the weather's not too bad, we are hoping to go to Quarrybank Mill, which is a National Trust site not far from us that does a great Halloween event. You might remember we went last year, took some great pictures. I'm hoping it's even better this year. Fingers crossed the weather plays ball at least this much, but we'll just have to see. But for now, that's all I've really got to show you guys. I hope you enjoyed that today, and I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.